Good morning, everyone. Can someone tell me whether my voice is clear or not? Good morning, good morning. Is this screen also clear? Okay. So welcome to today's session. Welcome to today's current affairs. So we'll be covering, 2nd January current affairs in today's session. And as discussed earlier, I'll be, I have already demarcated it between banking, ESI, finance, specific news first. We'll try to complete where there is some portion of understanding over there. Okay. First, we will see over all those things, and then we will look at phase 1 specific news if there are any. Okay. So this will be today's agenda. So without further ado, let's start with our today's news. So the first news talks about festival cheer. Lift GST collections up 10% in December at 1.65 lakh crores. Okay, so this just actually tells you about with respect to collection of GST within the month of December, and that has been recorded as 1.65 lakh crores. Okay, so this is a very huge number, and obviously it tells you that because of the festivals consumption, okay, GST collection was, recorded a lot. And this is the 7th month in financial year 24, that is from April to March, when the GST collections have surpassed the 1.6 lakh crore level. Okay? Previously, if you look at the history of GST collections, so you would have noticed when the GST was first launched in 2017, on, GST came. Let's talk a little bit of history with respect to GST. So, with Kelkar committee, initially, Kelkar task force on indirect tax. This initially was responsible for recommending GST to be implemented in the country. Okay, and the task for implementation of GST continued for a long period of time. Since 2000 it was starting, and only in 2016 via first 101st Constitutional Amendment Act 2016 could GST be implemented in Indian economy. Okay? And that too, it came in effect from July 1st 2017. Okay? So this is a little bit of GST history, and throughout from 2017 itself, if you look at the collections of GST, so in the initial stage it could only collect up to 90,000 crores. A lot of initial years were hovering around average collection of being 90,000 crores, and now you look at the transformation. Okay, in almost 6 to 7 years, the GST collections have now almost been doubled. It's now at 1.65 lakh crores. Okay? And not only it is a once in a month phenomena, but it is a recurring phenomena as it's the 7th month in financial year 24 where we have recorded collections more than 1.6 lakh crores. Give me a sec. Okay, so this is a good sign with respect to indirect taxes. Okay, let's focus on the next news, an important news, and all the points that are mentioned over here are very important for any banking related examination, because it most specifically talks about inoperative accounts. Okay? And there are various regulations with respect to inoperative accounts, that how banks need to not only register what inoperative accounts are, and the banks also have to do various things in order for in context of these inoperative accounts. So let's read one by one. RBI has mandated banks to annually review accounts that are inoperative for over a year. Okay? And this is not only with respect to savings account, but also with respect to term deposit accounts. Okay? And what is the criteria with respect to term deposit account? That there is no explicit renewal mandate and the funds have not been withdrawn after maturity. Which means that obviously in term deposits, there is nothing mentioned by the customer that it will continue to put in funds after, maturity. If there is no such thing, and another thing that there is no such withdrawal, then the bank also have to term that term deposit account as inoperative account. So this is with respect to identification of inoperative accounts. Now what is the second thing? Second thing is RBI says bank should not penalize the customer for non-maintenance of minimum balance in any account classified as inoperative. Okay? It usually happens that there are a lot of banks, mostly private banks, that actually charge you money if you do not maintain minimum balance. But if your account is inoperative means that you haven't done any transaction for over a year. Okay? So such type of accounts, okay, the bank, RBI says bank should not charge minimum account balance penal charges over those inoperative accounts. So this is one thing. And another thing, whenever your account is inoperative and when you go to the bank to reopen your account or reactivate your account, okay, the bank usually charges you money because you haven't done any transaction and the bank is all, making sure that your bank account stays within the bank. तो उसके लिए charge लगता है ना? तो bank usually charges, but RBI says you do not charge for opening inoperative accounts also. ठीक है? तो no minimum balance penal charges, and for activation of inoperative accounts, no charges. ठीक है? These guidelines will be applicable from April 1st, 2024. ठीक है? Whereas this will not be applicable for zero balance accounts opened for credit of scholarship or DBT under central or state government schemes. That means whatever. नहीं Jairaj, this is for 1 year. ठीक है? Banks have to annually review accounts that have not seen customer induced transaction for over a year, and then they have to maintain it. Okay? And with respect to this applicability of all these laws, the government says, okay, the government says that it will not be applicable for credit of scholarship amount and DBT transfer. Okay? Now let's move on to the next thing, which is under this new framework, banks will require to inform account and deposit holders through letter, email or on their registered number that there has been no activity in the last 1 year, and caution them the account would become inoperative if no operations are carried out during the extended period of the next 1 year. Okay, so what is happening here? See, this is 1 year and this is extended 1 year. If there is no such transactions here, banks will continue to send your emails, letters, okay, up to 1 year, and then this will become inoperative. And this is, all of these things are specifically being done to reduce bank fraud. Okay? All of these things is to reduce bank fraud. Because what is happening nowadays, in every bank, most of the bank always have some of the inoperative accounts, and these inoperative accounts are being opened and utilized for doing banking frauds. So that's why RBI came up with this mandate to annually review such type of accounts that have become inoperative, and contact the customer who are not utilizing those accounts. Okay? And what specifically RBI says to reduce bank frauds, it says that banks will need to regularly monitor inoperative accounts which have been reactivated for at least 6 months. अगर कोई inoperative account है, ठीक है, and it has been activated, तो bank says monitor that first of all. ठीक है, if any account that has been inoperative and has been reactivated without the knowledge of any related person, without the knowledge of customer, without the knowledge of dealing staff, and without the knowledge of system logs. Check the transaction, whatever is happening in that reactivated account. Okay, this is the aspect that banks have to do. अगर customer के knowledge के बिना अगर वो account reopen हो गया, then how did this thing happen in the first place? Okay. Next thing is, they will also need to ensure that inoperative and reactivated accounts are subjected to concurrent audit. Further, bank may also consider imposing a cooling off period on reactivation with restrictions on number and amount of transactions, which means that RBI says that bank have to concurrently audit not only the operative accounts but also inoperative accounts. साथ में audit करते चलो. Again, bank can all, and this is the flexibility given by RBI, that bank has the flexibility to not only impose cooling off period. That means when you go to a particular bank and say that I want to reactivate my account, bank says you need to do it after some amount of month. It will take some months procedure to reactivate your account, and this is only being done to check everything, whether it is being properly done or not, whether all the activities in your account were inoperative or not, or whether there were some suspicious activity. Okay, so bank can impose that. And another thing, that with respect to reactivation of your account, the RBI says the banks also have flexibility with respect to imposition of any restriction with respect to number of transactions or amount of transaction. For example, कि आप in a particular day you can only do some amount of transaction, let's say 4 to 5 transactions in a reactivated account. Another thing, that only maximum up to 10,000 you can do in a particular day. This will reduce bank fraud, because if this becomes a particular process within the banking system, then this opening of inoperative bank account will not give fruit to the fraudsters. So any confusion here to anyone? And before you ask, this is the last thing I want to discuss, that banks will also need to display the details of unclaimed deposits. And with respect to unclaimed deposits, we have this time limit of 10 years. That if a bank account has unclaimed deposit for the past 10 years, then only this will go to the DEA fund. But every year, with respect to unclaimed deposit, the details should be maintained on RBI maintained deposit awareness portal. Any confusion here? So they're not specifically mentioned here NRIs. Okay, the RBI hasn't mandated specifically. It is a general thing. Now let's move on to the next news, which is demand for MG NREGA jobs on the rise, and Tamil Nadu tops the chart. Okay, what does this tell you? That right now Tamil Nadu, the MG NREGA jobs have been provided the highest, then UP, and then Bihar. This is the list, and this is with respect to the timeline of April to December. Not Jan, April to December. Okay, and this is with respect to this time period, and within this time period, the number of jobs being given under MG NREGA is highest within Tamil Nadu state, and after that in UP. Previously UP was at the top, now Tamil Nadu. But for us, the important thing with respect to the examination, obviously, when the data will come with respect to the whole financial year 24, that will be important for us to remember. Okay? And within that data, not only the state ranking, but also the top state number of person days employment generated will also become important. But this news will help you how? Okay? At least you will get an idea that what exactly is the news that we need to remember, especially when the whole year's news will come. So as you can see, the demand for rural jobs under the MGNREGA scheme is up this fiscal year after a dip in financial year 23. So the data shows that 11% increase in employment generation in this fiscal until December. So if you compare year on year basis, okay, so between April to December 2022, and if you compare April to December 23, there is an 11% increase in demand for NGNREGA. Okay? So as you can see, 231.34 crore person days were generated across all state. And obviously this person days, if you do not understand, it's just to number of persons who have received MGNREGA and number of days they have provided employment with. ठीक है, तो अगर आप उसको calculate करोगे, you'll get this number. ठीक है, Tamil Nadu saw the highest demand. And see, next time when you see such type of news with respect to the whole year, whole financial year, remember the state and remember this metric, the person days metric, how much NGNREGA jobs they have created. Okay? The second being UP. The other states with high demand include Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar and MP. And apart from these things, obviously the allocation for the scheme is important. So what was the allocation in financial year 24 with respect to MGNREGA? Does anyone remember? How much in the union budget 23-24, how much funds were allocated for MGNREGA? Anyone? किसी को याद नहीं है क्या? It was 60,000 crores, and because the amount was less compared to the last year, the ministry sought supplementary funds to provide MGNREGA jobs to these new demand candidates. Okay? So always the ranking, the number of person days, as well as the allocation in budget, because this is also the one of the flagship scheme. So these three details you need to supplement in your schemes notes. Okay? If you're studying MGNREGA, supplement your notes of schemes with these data. Is this clear to everyone? See, that can be one thing, financial stability, but before that you will first of all say that these people are not getting jobs. Okay? These people are suffering from, unseasonal, cyclical employment. This increase in demand for MGNREGA is always of the last resort. Okay? There can be various aspects to it. A lot of people are not getting employed. That can be one thing, especially in the rural areas. Okay? And a lot of people are not having funds. That can be another different thing. So they need funds. And another aspect can be that they are getting more aware. Some people who were not aware of such type of schemes, they are also getting aware of MGNREGA, so that they can also demand for this. Okay. This is the current affairs session time, 10:30 to 11:30. Okay. And every alternative day. So most probably today is Thursday, Saturday, and then Monday, not Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Let's go to the next news. The news is RBI enhances bulk deposit limit for large urban cooperative banks. Okay? And the deposit limit has been increased from rupees 15 lakh to 1 crore or above. ठीक है, तो deposit limit it has been increased. Previously deposit worth more than 15 lakh were termed as bulk deposit, but right now if the deposits are more than 1 crore, that will be termed as bulk deposits under UCBs, and this is only applicable to tier 3 and tier 4 categories of urban cooperative banks. What are these tier 3 and tier 4 categories? So recently, in the couple of past couple years, okay, RBI has designed a new regulatory structure with respect to urban cooperative banks, and it is a 4-tier regulatory structure: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and this is obviously on the basis of asset size. So what's the asset size of tier 1? Does anyone remember? लावण्य, अगर आपको कुछ समझना है ना, तो अगर आप मेरे से पूछ लेना यहीं पे चैट बॉक्स में, मैं हिंदी में भी समझा दूंगा आपको. $2 crore, 500 crores? No. Sai, tell me, what are the 4 criteria of urban cooperative banks? How these cooperative banks are divided? Tier 1 100 crores up to 100 crores, ठीक है. Tier 2 100 to 1000, 1000 to 10,000, more than 10,000 crores. ठीक है. This is a very important aspect that you need to remember, especially with respect to RBI, है ना. These are anyways such type of circulars which I was telling all of you guys are flagship circulars. ठीक है. ये it's like such जैसे MPC Monetary Policy Committee, ठीक है. It's a simple, it was launched in 2015, but doesn't mean it lost its importance, है ना, because it is actually regulating the whole inflation scenario in the country. So similarly, UCBs regulatory structure decided by RBI will continue up to such time until RBI changes it. So it becomes an important thing. Okay? So please remember this. So this is with respect to bulk deposit limit increased from 15 lakh to 1 crore. So it will be started soon. Okay, whenever it will be started, you will be notified for it. Next, UPI end 2023 with record transactions worth 18 lakh crores. So such type of news where it tells you not only the transactions, how much transactions related to UPI happened, not only in terms of volume, when we talk about volume, number of transactions, and the value, that how, you know, the number into the rupee of rupee value of transaction. So those two are different things. ठीक है, तो volume saw 59% increase and value saw 45% increase, and this is notified by NPCI. But these things keeps on changing, so not that much important. ठीक है, Lavanya, we are only giving online classes, okay, not offline. But the most important thing with respect to UPI are UPI transaction limits. And recently in Monetary Policy Committee, the latest one, RBI introduced a lot of changes with respect to UPI transaction limit. So recently the transaction limit in UPI transactions, okay, has been increased in context of educational and healthcare institutions, and it has been increased to up to what amount? Does anyone remember? Yes, correct. 5 lakh rupees. Then we have changes with respect to UPI Lite. With respect to UPI Lite wallet, what is the transaction limit? How much it has been increased to? Yes, it has been increased to 200 to 500. Okay? And it can be utilized in offline scenario also. And what is the maximum transaction limit in UPI in online transactions? UPI Lite. It is 2000. Okay? And there was also one of the most important change with respect to auto pay. I hope you guys know what is auto pay. Okay? In, let's say, with respect to any subscription, if you're doing, either for, let's say, you have done SIP for mutual funds. Okay? So every month you have to pay 5,000 rupees. And this is being done for 12 months. Okay? So you have set auto pay on your UPI account. That means every month this amount will be deducted on its own automatically. So there is a particular limit initially set by RBI that required your authentication. That means agar this amount, if it is more than 15,000 with respect to auto pay, then every time when your account will deduct this, it will ask your authentication. You need to enter into your password. But with respect to 3 things, mutual fund subscriptions, insurance, and one more thing, okay, related to that, RBI says this limit has been increased to 1 lakh rupees. That means if you are paying, let's say 60,000 per month to a mutual fund subscription, it will not ask you authentication. Okay? So this is another thing with respect to auto pay. Yes, correct. And Sai was asking me about e-rupee and UPI difference. Okay. Yeah, these two are very different things. Understand that UPI is related to transactions or payments single platform that actually connects bank accounts of, or it's a payment interface that allow bank account of, a lot of customers of different banks, चाहे वो Indian bank हो, चाहे other bank हो. And through UPI, you can actually transact to any bank, any customer. So it is a payment interface that allows you to do this. Whereas e-rupee, it's like a voucher having benefits which you can redeem. For example, let's say the government has provided you subsidy for buying fertilizers. So they will give you e-rupee voucher for that. And in this voucher, it is said that 1 kg of, ammonium fertilizer you can buy. And when you submit this voucher to the retailer, okay, that retailer will give you this thing, fertilizer. Okay? So it acts like a voucher. It doesn't involve transaction of money through hands. वो direct bank account में of this retailer, the amount will be credited. So now you understand the difference between these two things? Next question or next news, investment income of life insurance industry down 6.63% to 3.89 lakh crores in financial year 23. That means previous financial year, April to March 23. Okay? And this is with respect to life insurance industry as well as general insurance industry also. Non-life insurance. Non-life insurance means auto insurance, health insurance, and other liability insurance, property insurance, and other these things. Okay? And this is with respect to their income. And specifically, if you are focusing on giving IRDA examination in future, so such type of news is relevant for you very comprehensively. Okay? So investment income of the life insurance industry declined 6.63%. Okay? While public sector recorded growth, while private sector recorded almost 40% decline. Okay? Out of 24 life insurers, 17 companies reported profits. Okay? And with respect to the other examinations, any news related to life insurance becomes less relevant, but the overall insurance penetration and insurance density, those things becomes important. Okay? Next news, at 3 lakh crores, Mudra loans see recorded growth in quarter 3. Okay? What's the news? The news under Mudra Yojana has reached all-time high of 3 lakh crores in December 2023, registering 16% year-on-year growth. That means loans provided under Mudra Yojana has recorded the highest disbursement of loan of 3 lakh crores in December 2023, registering a 16% higher growth. But apart from this statistic, what exactly is Mudra Yojana? In Mudra Yojana, the government provide loans to non-corporate, non-farm, small and micro enterprises. Okay? This is the idea, that government provide loans to this category of enterprises. And what are the various categories of loan? Does anyone remember? Provided under Mudra Yojana. Yes, exactly. Another flagship scheme. Always remember these things. What are the various categories of loans? Yes. Shishu, Kishore, Tarun. Now that you know the names of them, also tell what is the limit of loan Shishu is up to 50,000. What is the limit of Kishore and what is the limit of Tarun? Anyone? Kishore up to 5 lakh rupees, 50,000 to 5 lakh, and Tarun up to 10 lakh rupees. Well done. Okay? So this is what Mudra Yojana is all about. So this was all ESI specific, banking specific news. Okay? Now let's do this fast. This is phase 1 specific news. Here the most important thing is, अब जैसे for example take this question. Take this statement. SEBI imposes penalty on the top brass of this. Okay? Similarly, if such type of news comes with respect to RBI also, that RBI has actually imposed a penalty on that particular bank, such type of questions have been asked in the previous RBI questions, RBI phase 1 examination. Okay? So you cannot ignore such type of news also. So HFCL wins deal worth 1,127 crore from BSNL, and this is for developing optical transport network infrastructure. Obviously fiber infrastructure, so as to provide services with respect to 5G services and other services. Okay? This is with respect to EV sales growth, growing 48% in 2023. Next, Finance Ministry allows 30th tranche of electoral bonds. So what is electoral bonds? Electoral bonds are mechanism, or you can say formal mechanism, through which entities can fund the political parties. And how does this function? There's a smooth process for this. If you see, electoral bonds, what's the mechanism? So SBI will issue bonds, okay, in the multiples of 100,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh and 1 CR. Okay, in the multiples of these many, and these bonds, any person can pay for these bonds via digital payments or check. And this does what? This actually make them anonymous. That means the identity of the person is not visible with respect to payment of these bonds. So let's say if this is a 1 CR bond, and if some person actually paid for this bond, and that person can also tell to which party I am giving this bond. So let's say this fund is given to some X party. Okay? So that party will receive this bond and they will go to the bank, and the bank will submit or pay this whole amount to the bank account of the political party. Okay? So this is what the mechanism of bond is. And the news says that the center has approved the issuance of 30th tranche of electoral bonds. 30th tranche is nothing, that in 2018 it was started. So every time the bonds were issued, that is known as the tranche actually. So the sale of first bond happened in March 2018. Okay? Next, SEBI imposes penalty on top brass of Unitech advisors. So the important thing for us to remember is the name and the asset management company's name. So Aurum Asset Management Private Limited or Unitech Advisors India, the penalty of 1 CR is imposed. Okay, and 10 lakh penalty on its directors are imposed. And this is because of SEBI actually said to these asset management company to wind up their 3 real estate fund, but they did not do so. Okay? In real estate fund, mostly what will be there? they'll be taking funds from the clients, collecting the whole fund and investing in real estate projects. And whenever they earn profit, the profit will be distributed to the clients. Okay? So this is the mechanism. So SEBI says you must have winded up these three funds, but they did not do so, hence the penalty. Next, Karnataka Vikas Grameen Bank has launched a current account facility for businesses with a monthly average balance requirement of 2 lakh rupees. Okay? Nothing more than this. So the packaged products to carry unit price and manufacturing date. So now, after this mandate, every packaged product will contain unit price and manufactured date. Okay? Nowadays, let's say if it is let's take an example of wheat. So there are various packages of wheat. You can take it via 1 kg of wheat, 2.5 kg of wheat, 5 kg wheat or 10 kg wheat. If you buy 5 kg wheat, there is a MRP written over there. If you buy 10 kg wheat, there is a MRP written over there. But the mandate says you have to write unit price also. That means what exactly will be the price for 1 kg of wheat in every product. Okay? Okay? Is this clear to everyone? That whatever multiple you are actually buying, the unit price, that is 1 unit price, will be also mentioned alongside MRP. Any doubt in this to anyone? Yes, it is a RRP. Sujay. Chalo, ठीक है. Let's go to the next. So a 3-member panel has been established by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy to solve any disputes between solar and wind power developers, EPC contractors, engineering, procurement and construction, and renewable energy implementing agencies such as NTPC, SECI. ठीक है? अब इन तीनों parties के बीच में if there is any dispute that will be resolved, they do not have to go to the court. They can just go to this panel. ठीक है? And this panel have a particular timeline within which they have to submit the resolution. Okay? So what is that timeline? So DRC, this panel will be given 21 days. अगर उसमें if they can provide, then it's okay. If not, then additional 14 days, and within this additional time, they have to provide a resolution. They cannot say they need additional time. So 21 plus 14, that is maximum 5 weeks. So in terms of weeks, you can remember this. And the committee members are Rajesh Bhushan, MF Faruqi and Kumar Alok. Last 2 news, Nobel laureate Yunus sentenced to 6 months in jail. Okay, so Bangladesh Nobel laureate economist Muhammad Yunus was sentenced to 6 months for violating labor laws. Can you tell me, Yunus is famous for what? Anyone? Who will tell me this? Muhammad Yunus, economist, is famous for what? Yes, for financial inclusion in Bangladesh via Grameen banks. Yes, correct. And with respect to electoral bonds, it is 15 days sign validity from the date of issue. Last news, strong earthquake rocks Japan, triggers tsunami alert. So 7.6 Richter scale magnitude of earthquake hit Japan, and Japan has been dealing with various, let's say, disasters, not only natural but man-made also. Recently you must have also seen the plane carrying more than 300 passengers also collided on the runway with a Coast Guard aircraft. So not a good year for them. Yes, at least from that, the learning for us should be that we should be at least, well poised or well calm like those Japanese, because if they would have, if they would have panicked, that would have led to stampede like situation within the plane, and not many of those people could be saved. So always there is a learning for us, है ना? Chalo, this is all for today, guys. Anything else you want to ask? Otherwise, we'll wind up the session. When I think about कि एक bond है, that bond doesn't have any name. ठीक है? So if I'm going to put money into that bond, ठीक है, I'll just pay the bond. Only SBI knows my name. But the political party would not know my name, because for political party, bond with the amount is only provided to them, not the person who has actually paid that amount. हाँ, बैंक तो would know ना, because you as a person will go to the bank, and only one bank is actually issuing, SBI. तो बैंक को तो पता रहेगा ना कि who is paying, and this is an implicit thing, not explicitly mentioned somewhere. Sign the circulars. Some of the important circulars will be covered here, but if there are any specific 10-day circular, we will cover in that manner also. No, Sujay, it's not a government security, because those bonds are actually being provided to the political parties. It is not a bond of government of India. Okay, there's a difference. Amount given to political parties and GSEC are government of India bonds. Okay, no political party over there. Pappu, first try to revise the current affairs from the PDF and then try to recall that. Some of the things you will recall, some of the things you will not recall, and those things which you cannot recall, try to make notes of that. Okay? Anything else? Nothing? Chalo, thank you guys for joining. We'll meet in the next session.